my heart is full of joy being in the session right now, and the starting of the prayers and all. When I was sitting here, I was actually coming from a lot of conversations that I had with my colleagues, and the mind was like so clouded and crowded also. And when I heard the prayers, and when I listened to the way it started right now, with a beautiful, wonderful satsang environment, I felt like a shower of some kind of energy filling my being, and feeling so refreshed and happy. So I really thank you for inviting me and allowing me to share my story here, and also my thoughts. It's an honor to be with you. And my question was, with the way it started, with so many prayers and the kind of intensity of devotion, I started questioning myself whether, I'm really here in the place where I can really talk, because the kind of blessings and being blessed with this experience itself. I may be a very small person, and I may not be already in that space where you are, but I'll just try to share my life journey and my thoughts. And the topic that was given and chosen today was on the re-engineering of one's inner self. So this is about something that I would not relate to something about philosophical, or something that comes out of this self-help books or something like that. This is purely about the life journey that I pick up from my life. I'm many years younger to all of you, but this is something that I thought was very close to my heart, and I would bring it up. So to begin with this topic of re-engineering, there was some kind of a disconnect that I started evolving about 20 years ago, when I could see that things were not really aligned to what I was envisioning as a vision, how the world I would like to be part of, where there is love, abundance of love, and then there's abundance of feeling of peace, and then friendship all around. And then I used to enjoy being in this family system of joint family. And joint family means not just my blood relation, but also my extended families across. I grew up in this place in Bombay, where socialization was like a way of life, where during the festivals, the whole building and apartments used to become one family, reverberating with all the festivities and enthusiasm. And we never had this differentiation of what culture or what religion anyone belongs to. Now that's exactly what feeling I got right now, where you made me go through the various streams of emotions. So here, then suddenly I came back to Bangalore, and then connecting to the ecosystem here, and then various parts of other country, no, in other parts of the country. I saw that there was a lot of disconnect to what the way I was brought up, and how the ecosystem is evolved right now. In those days, the liberalization had happened, and people were focusing more on global approach, and they were trying to project, and there was a lot of importance given more towards trying to project who we are and what we can do, rather than what we really can do and what really we are. So while all this is happening, I started questioning myself whether this is the way I want to lead my life, this is the way I want to take the direction, and what is it that I need to put across, what is my center of gravity, where do I feel connected and feeling of balance. So the re-engineering is all about the differentiation between what happens in our day-to-day lives and commitment to the day-to-day lifestyle, and also balancing between the other aspect of what we really desire and what we really look for as a long-term aspect of our life. So how do we bring both of these two things and two aspects together, and build a harmony around these two things? So that's where the inquiry and the question started, and started driving me. And while that was happening, I came in contact with multiples of communities and change initiatives all over the country, across the country, outside the country. And the question was always about how do I find that communication? How do I reach out to that way of expression where language, religion, or any kind of biasness is not there, and where I can relate to something more pure, something that connects to me directly to my soul. So, in one of these incidents where we had a global gathering in the Himalayas, and while I was walking in a mountain uh, as a morning walk, one of my Iranian friend was joining me in that walk, and we just passed through this hamlet of a Tibetan village where a baby was packed so well and kept in a small cradle. I looked at the child and said, "This Tibetan kids are the babies are so cute and so lovable." So my Iranian friend looked at me very quizzingly and said, "Kishore, babies all over the world are pure and lovable, and all babies across the world are cured. So if they are cured, and how do we create that feeling where the trust factor, everything starts emoting the moment we look at the cute babies? So can we be in that space where we can give out that kind of a feeling for ourselves and for the people around, for relationships, or any kind of other experiences? So can we bring out the best, purest feelings? Now, while this conversation was going on, I started working on it. So, what does a child do if I'm a 3-year-old child and I'm standing in front of a shop? Now, do I just look at the shop and the people around, or I become conscious about myself? Or if I look at the toy and I feel very beautiful, I just go and pick it up. I don't look at whether I have money in my pocket. I don't look at any sort of barriers as to what others are thinking about it, but I just do what I feel like doing. So that means that act of that pure action where I am working on certain things that which is coming purely as a heart driven activity. So can I be in that space of living in action of what I truly want and I truly feel for, rather than getting into a barrier of so many stories that I keep telling that, oh, that people will think wrong about me, or what will they label me with, and all that stuff. So can I be in that space where I can be truly who I am? So with all these questions I was holding, and gradually it started emerging to me in one of the visit again in the Himalayas, that when I was looking from the mountain top, all the range of the mountains all around, the several hills and several mountains. So I just realized that the shift that happens inside is never like climbing to a peak and then that's it. It's not that, but it's also about from the peak, can I come down and then make a climb again? So therefore, the journey is all about going, getting into a realization, holding on to the realization, reflecting in that realization, and nurturing and assimilating that realization. And then once I have that peak of that experience, there is also a moment which I need to embrace, that I need to get out of it and I cannot live there forever. So I need to come down, experience a breakdown, and then again from there I rise with another experience where I again make a climb, go to the peak of realization. And therefore the entire life journey is all about such numerous incidents of learning and experiences. So when I looked higher and higher on the mountain range, I could not see the end of it at all. And similarly, the life journey about re-engineering ourselves is almost like that. It's a journey, a never-ending journey, but always it brings that moment of wow, where I get that realization. I improvise myself and look within, connect to my soul level, and then try to see what I can do out of that by converting all that learning and realization into something good. So whether even if I'm holding to a lot of pain, can I channelize those pain which I have gone through and then convert that into something good for a larger self-expression, where that touches lives and brings happiness. And in that happiness, I see my happiness. And in that reflection of happiness, I start healing within with the pain that I'm holding. So this kind of journey went on and on and on. And then I realized that the re-engineering is not about picking up lots of jargons or big mota points from the books or theories and all that stuff, but everyone as an individual, as we walk along in our life, we have our own need of self-discovery. And what findings we find is purely a private matter and a personal journey and a personal experience. What makes a big shift in me may not make any difference to another person. So therefore, I realized that I set out to change the world. And in the process, what I learned was it was not the world that I had to change, but it was the inner self that I had to work on to bring change. And when I've done that, or when I really experience even a bit of it, I can see the difference in the outside world. So finally, I moved away from focusing on shifting on the outside to taking a very deep journey for my inner self and my change within. Now, to make it a little more self-expressive to what point I'm trying to put across, um, there was this grandfather who was questioned by the grandson, saying that, "Oh, grandpa, all the time you are telling me every time that you make me go to this Bhagavad Gita and you make me read that there's so many hard, fast slokas and so many things in that. I can't recall anything, but you make me go through it every time. What is the use of doing all this exercise when I can't recall or when I can't learn to pronunciate those heavy shlokas perfectly? So what is the point in putting so much time?" So he said, "I will answer your question, but before that I would like you to do something." So he gave a bowl which had a lot of holes in that, and it was containing coal, a lot of coal pieces. So it was full of the charcoal, covered with charcoal, very dark. And he told, "Now you go quickly, go outside and dip it in the river that is flowing there, and quickly come back." So as soon as he removed all the charcoal and kept it there, he ran to the river and the rivulet, and then he dipped it in that, and he came back running, and he showed it to the grandfather. He said, "Now do it once more." So he went again, and again. So then finally, the seventh time, the grandchild was so annoyed. He said, "Grandpa, why are you making me run like this? Just tell me, what do you want? See, I've gone and dipped it in the river so many times. Now, what is that you want me to do? Just tell me, I'll do it, but I'm tired of this." Now he said, "How was the bowl before you went?" He said, "Dark, black, and dirty." Okay, now look at it, and what do you see? Yeah, I see a very clean bowl. It is shining. It's crystal clear. So that's what he said. That this is the very essence. That the reason of the satsang, the reason of being part of this process, where you constantly go into this dipping into the purity of thought and positiveness and all these things that you're doing with the Bhagavad Gita reading, is actually showing on how cleansed are you becoming every time you take a dip in it. So it is not about carrying things from it, but it is about how at the soul level you are able to cleanse yourself, and from that cleansing, the best and the pure essence of you coming out. So can you reach out to that? Can you feel it? Can you touch it? Now, can you relate to life from there? Now, that is what the whole story about. And my dear friends, here, what I'm trying to make as a point is that knowing a lot of things from so many sources ultimately doesn't matter as long as we are living in this space of learning the basic essence of how the re-engineering happens. The re-engineering is all about, I discovered, this is purely my personal journey and what I'm trying to share. And in this, I realized the power of sharing as the first point. So the wherever I went, I shared my feelings, I shared my emotions, shared my experiences and stories. And the more I shared, the more it expanded and showed that there is a world within a world within a world. And I could see that my entire way of looking at things got changed. I could see from others' point of view. I was willing to listen. Since I was willing to listen, I was open to seeing many dimensions of other people's perception. And I was feeling like as if I'm climbing every time over to the summit of the inner peak. And every time I was feeling that the vision was getting expanded. So the power of sharing. So it is on two essence. When I'm talking about relating this to inner engineering, it's about carrying all those uh, bad experiences, emotions which are negative, and those things where we were hurt, where we felt we were let down, or something that hit us, a personal tragedy, or somebody, like for example, there was a time when my father passed away right in front of me in my arms, and I was looking at his into his eyes, and I slowly saw his eyes becoming motionless and his body becoming limp, while the doctor put him on the ventilator and expanded that and said that don't worry and all, will save him and all that stuff. I could virtually see that at that point of time, my intuition told me he's no more, he's gone. And my mind was screaming. And they just kept him on the ventilator for 2 hours. And that emotion of having felt those things, where I virtually see the person whom I loved a lot is no more and passing away right in front of me. I could not get over that with many years. And I didn't even dare to venture in that direction of Jaideva Hospital. So, what I would like to share here is all these emotions stacked up become so heavy that I start carrying so many things that my entire essence of being a free spirited soul, that who I really am, is lost, forgotten. And I start relating myself to all the weight that I'm carrying of all these emotions and stuff around me, that my current moment of what I could experience in beauty is being curtailed by all the influences brought from the past. And that makes me completely blinded. And I continue to carry this feeling and imprint even my present and my future with the same experiences. And therefore, my entire journey out here was about how do I break from this? How do I re engineer myself? How do I say that I step out of this and I can always create a future or a moment which is pure, which is in the moment of now, where I don't get influenced by all this. And that inner journey happened when I started sharing. And when I shared with everyone around across the communities, the various places that I went to, and uh, the, the intensity of the sharing itself was like a water tank full of contaminated water and somebody puncturing it at the bottom of it, and all the stored water which is contaminated all allowed to flow out, and till the sharing was so intense that the flowing of the negative emotions went on happening. And then at the point it reached where there was nothing more to let go because everything was emptied. And the moment I was like an empty cup, that is when all the positivity and who I am started gushing in me. And I realized that I was seeing from the broken glasses that the world was telling as to who I am in pieces of all those broken glasses. and I was relating myself from those broken glasses of all the experiences. And what I realized was that I am complete. I am already in abundance. I am completely whole in my place. But I was just seeing the world through the broken glass, whereas I was in totality. And this experience gave me from what I got from this place I attended as the learning societies, unconference, which was arranged at Beer, at the Deer Park in Himachal Pradesh, where 300 people from different walks of life, all of the world came and gathered, and they went on sharing. And at the seventh day, this is what I felt, that I am a bit of everybody around, and everybody around are in me, and I am everywhere. So therefore, that was one of the liberating point for me of where the re-engineering happened, and I started seeing myself as a free-spirited person, away from all this, away from the control of all these things. And that's one point of view. Then the other point was about the power of forgiveness, where I saw that there were times I told I've forgiven, but then whenever those incidents were brought in front of me, there was a certain degree of anger somewhere at some corner, which used to come, sprouting up to the surface. And then I used to, get into that moment where I used to relive those experiences and all. And I used to say, look, I have forgiven that person. But I used to say that in anger. That means most of the time we say we have forgiven things and we have moved on, but then that forgiveness does not really happen fully. And until that forgiveness is happening fully, though we think that we are in the greater place where I am trying to forgive someone, but in actual reality, what is happening is I am trying to disengage from the power of that particular episode or that anger which is controlling me. And by truly being in the space of forgiveness, I am actually disengaging myself and completely liberating myself to re-begin and recreate something out of virginity, past things. So the power of forgiveness is one thing that I found, was another story that I went on practicing as a way of life. And this also was a very powerful tool for me, because I deal with a lot of communities and community based entrepreneurship. And when a community comes together, forgiveness within the community is a key to make it sticky and bonded as a family, as one entity. And in that, the re-engineering happens to every individual, with the beauty of that community emerging. Until then, the community is only in a physical dimension. So this is one thing that impacted me. And as I've mentioned in the earlier story, where I spoke about being a 3-year-old child, can I be a 3-year-old child with the same curiosity, same intensity of being in action mode rather than thinking too much? So they say too much of analysis, too much of trying to say, this is good, this is bad, getting caught with the entrapment with that. Most of us get into the paralysis. So getting into analysis leads to somewhere sort of a paralysis, which is self inflicting, and it locks up our potential. It locks our ability to do something in the moment, where high possibilities are there all around in abundance, but yet we choose to be in a state of a prison, where with the fear and all the things that of the unfolding things which are unseen, unexperienced, the fear of those things disables us to be in our fullest capabilities. So the re-engineering, again, I saw here, is about, can I lead a fullest life? Can I, even at, if I'm at the age of 90, can I lead a life at the fullest? And that can happen if I am willing to take action on what gives me the truest feeling of joy. Can I just do it? Even if I have to be a child in that moment, who cares? Ultimately, it is the experience of the joy of inside that really beautifies the whole thing. So, again, the add on to this was, how do I move on? So the power of let go. So this is something that I felt was another uh, key parameter which I experienced in re-engineering ourselves, is learning the art of let go. Most of the time, you all have heard of the story where there was this monk and his disciple, both were walking together in the forest, and there was this beautiful girl who came asking for help, and she was not fully clothed. The tribal clothing is different. So for a monk, a Buddhist monk, it is that particular sect, it is mandatory that they don't come in contact with any um, um, uh, person of the opposite sect. So here, while the river was, it's a small river, but she was afraid that she doesn't know swimming, so she might not be able to cross across. So she sought the help of the monk. So the monk, without second thought, he just lifted her and carried her. And while this was happening, the disciple was totally silent and dumbfounded, because all the time he was taught to do something as a conditioning, and here the person who is the icon of that himself is doing this, right? So this was something what was very confusing for him. So after they crossed the river, he dropped the lady, and then they went on, they carried on the work. And after a couple of miles, the monk realized that this guy was too silent. So I asked him, what happened to you? Why are you so silent? So he said, I am very disturbed, Guruji. So what is it? So it is that you told that this is not to be done, and you touched a person, and you carried that person. So I am very disturbed by this whole thing. So the very fundamental thing that he said is, I carried her in that moment, and I left her on the other side of the bank of the river, and I completely forgot it. But now, though I did this in action, you are still carrying her in your mind. So the power of let go is all about, can I just feel? So that as little kids, the kids come fight, and then in the fight, normally it so happens that you will see that they'll have a fight, they will go hitting each other, but after next moment you'll see they'll be again playing together, and again being in the joyful action of the game and all that stuff. They don't carry anything. So but as we grow along, we start carrying and start labeling people, looking at people. So this is one thing that made me the power of re-engineering. And in the power of re-engineering, the power of let go is a key factor of redefining and living in the moment constantly, and experiencing what is unfolding, and not continuously holding on to things. So this is one more point that I felt was very helpful to me. The last point that I would like to share is the power of determination, which enabled me to take things when everything was totally shattered or broken, and to continue with the power of thinking that what I have chosen to do with my life, and what I have chosen to do as an intent in action, I will not let go. I will not give up on that, but I'll stick to it, no matter what the outcomes are, as long as it is meant for the overall goodness and it is creating well being. So, just to give you an example, in 2011, I was asked at the last minute to bring a lot of Indian delegation to Japan. And in this situation, CII had worked on for 6 months and they could not influence people to come across as CEOs, and they could only muster about 40 CEOs. And this is a global platform that was set with 27 countries, and the Indian participation, this is India and Japan, so Indian participation was very critical. So if only 40 CEOs are confirmed and people are not there, then this was something would be a very shameful thing at that point of time, having spent so much resource and time. So they requested me, can you do something about it? So I just, being a part of the team, I thought, what would I do? Because this is the top roof of the world's, the World Economic Forum is there, the PMO's office is there, and governments are involved. So how do I ensure that, I don't get into trouble, but I deliver what they have told me and asked me to do? So I came down to Bangalore, spoke to my Rotary friends, and immediately mobilized about 200 CEOs out here, and tried to work out a deal where they had, earlier I was given an opportunity to raise sponsorship. So I raised sponsorship for that, and they said they will offer me 1.5 crore as my payment. But then I thought, instead of doing that, there is no representation from Karnataka. So I came here to Bangalore and spoke to people, and then I invited them to join this effort. And what I requested the board member of this organization is to sponsor their entire cost and take them along. So with this, I could able to mobilize a huge number of youth leaders, CEOs, and corporate honchos, and social reformers, and whatnot, and spiritual people also, spiritual leaders also. In fact, our Sadhguru from Isha Foundation was also part of this visit. So at the end of the journey, what happened is, everyone agreed, but the challenge was here that the Japanese consulate gives only 5 visas a day. And here I was having them calling me in Delhi and saying, look, your people are here, 200 people are standing right in front of our consulate, and we will take everybody's application, but we will only give 5 visas today. So I immediately said, look, we have got only 5-6 days left where the team has to reach Japan. We don't have much time. So please, can you clear it? They were not willing to listen, very adamant. So I just picked up the call. I'm Mr. Nobody, but I just picked up the call and spoke to the finance minister of Japan, saying that we are trying to do something for your country in recession. And Indians are the biggest investors out there. And this is the only economy that will give you the biggest return. And we are trying to work this out. And here's your own people out here are blocking. So immediately they took action, and they said that anyone who comes to the consulate, put a stamp on visa and send them packing. So this part was, solved. Now the point here was that everyone has left to Japan, to Tokyo, and hardly anyone is out here. And suddenly the airline tickets saying that all the tickets are sold. Suddenly everyone knows that there's a huge contingent going out there. So they have blocked, somebody has within the circle blocked it. It took me one whole day to figure out who did it, and I get that unlocked. And then finally, when everything was done, sorted out, I was told that, sorry, we cannot release the tickets because you need to pay advance, that to full payment. Now the entire organizing committee is in Tokyo, no one in Delhi to help me out. And I said, look, I put a sincere effort here. There's nothing more I can do. But I think with this, it's a break or win kind of a thing. Now I told God Almighty that now it is up to you. I have given my full soulful contribution here. It's up to you now. You make me or you break me. If it is your will and this is the universe's wish, then let it happen. So with that feeling, I boarded the Delhi flight to Bangalore, and I was completely, that 2 hours of journey was the most excruciating journey for me in pain. When I landed in Bangalore and I just opened my mobile, I got lots of SMSs, and in those SMSs, it was about tickets being, there is the WhatsApp message, the tickets have been, booked, tickets have been released. Ask your people to get into the flight within the next 5 hours. So anticipating something like this in emergency, I had made 10 CEOs in charge of 10 groups. So all the 200 people are taken care of. So I quickly called them and told them, and within 5 hours, every damn person in that list was there in the airport, in Bangalore airport. And in this gadbad, I did not have the time to go and convert any money into yen, which is required to be shown in the airport and the immigration. So here, what happened is everyone in the team, the power of engagement is what I'm saying, the power of universal oneness, where all these people who were there gave me one bit of their contribution. Suddenly I had enough to show in the immigration. And from Bangalore to Taiwan to Tokyo, and it's almost like covering half the world. And in this journey, I didn't have one bit of money on my pocket. It was totally a crazy experience where I traveled half the world and came. And every day I was fed by one of the other team member. And in the process, entire Boeing was booked for these people in my name. And this experience, altered my entire perception about life, that there is no boundaries, coming in between you. If your intent, the power of intent is very strong, then anything can be achieved. And in this, the re-engineering starts happening as a part of the joy of experiencing the best in you. That may happen sometimes. It takes a whole lifetime for people to reach that point. But can we actually start working on it bit by bit, and start unlocking ourselves? And with this, there are lots and lots of things that happened in the last 1 decade, especially of doing unbelievable things, incredible things. And constantly, the challenge was, again, bringing the harmony between managing the day-to-day existence, challenges faced in that, at the same time managing the aspect of my inner growth and my understanding of how I would like to see my life evolve, and my journey on the inner self, working in life, not with the help of books, not with the help of things from the outside, but from actually working on these simple principles that I took as the re-engineering. There are so many people coming with so many re-engineering stuff, using, some people talk about yoga, some people talk about breathing exercises, some people say Kaya Kalpa Yoga or Sudarshana Kriya will lead you to that. At the end of the day, it may not work for me, but it may work for you. But all of us, in the process of this self-discovery and re-engineering ourselves, we need to find out ultimately where is that center of gravity of who I am, and what really truly gives me joy. And can I, from this place, this premise, can I look at the whole thing differently? So I would like to stop here. I think it will become a monologue if I carry on for some more time. But at the end of it, I would like to see if I've made sense to you, anyone at all, and interact on that.
Thank you so much for that very interesting and wonderful session. And we will open it up for a Q&A. So anyone has any questions, kindly unmute yourself and ask your question.
I would like to ask, sir, I'm Janaki Ram. It was very interesting, particularly the delegation and 200 people managing as CEOs, and how you did it, and unfoldment of yourself and from your personal experience. What I would like to ask is, since you are a specialist in change management, in the last,
I think you have unmuted. I mean, you have to
Can't
unmute
hear
yourself.
you. Kindly unmute yourself, Mr. Janaki Ram.
I had unmuted.
We lost
Hello,
you.
sorry, I had not unmuted. I'm very sorry.
You're back now.
No, your personal experience, particularly with that huge delegation and everything, was very value adding. Now, as a change management specialist, I would like to know from your experience the minus and plus of this COVID has created so much havoc. How much this SMEs and innovations and all the startups, what is your experience and what would you like to share with us?
Yeah, actually, in 2008, the world went through a global recession of being in that cycle. This is exactly what I was trying to refer to you at the earlier stage of how I got a feeling of disconnect. So in 2008, the tectonic plates of the economic shift and all happened with the recession that hit everywhere. And all this was clear that the more of the greed and making more and more turnover, more and more money, and without being sensitive to the people around, without being sensitive to the resources around, and the responsibility around, all this had already started boiling up in 2008, and it created a big shakeup. The rest of the things that you saw was all just like in Diwali, you light this Bhuchakra, and as long as the Bhuchakra is having that gunpowder inside that, it keeps going down round and round. But after some time, when it burns out itself, still it is going round and round due to the velocity. The same way, the velocity of all these things that we had got into was still carrying on, and COVID came and just hit that, made people really see eye to eye to the fact that the dynamics have shifted, because people were refusing to look at climate change. People were not willing to believe that there is a lot of shift that has happened, and ground realities of urgent actions to be taken. Now, during the COVID, 273 million livelihood is gone. That means we have been building a citadel of empire around the urban population, which is a small part of what is the whole world or the community around us. And we have totally forgotten the people from where the food is produced, where a major of the resources come to us. So we have not even considered them. Now, COVID has brought this into reality, where we have learned, I think COVID is actually a cleansing aspect of it. And a lot of positivity has come through that, where people are becoming more real. People are now focusing not on the outer journey, but have started looking at mental health and inner journey more as important thing, and being more responsible. And a lot of the solutions that were born out of the COVID. See, we were blindly following the Western the model of the Silicon Valley success story of startups, where you make more and more profit. Just if you are starting a startup, that means you are having a BMW car, or you are in a very high lifestyle. That was the focus. So now people are looking at whether you get into business, are you making revenue, are you making an impact to the people around, is there value that you're creating out of the product, is it really an innovation, and does it really make a difference? Okay, and now people are saying, why should I even run after investment or funding? I would rather build a good product, solve some problem in the community, and while solving that problem, I would like to see that customers only become my investors, because when they make advance payment, I have got my funding, right? So therefore, the perception is changing from high value games to more of value creation for the people and being an inclusive approach. So I think this is a great shift, and I'm seeing a lot of spiritual growth in the way we are looking at things on the ground level now.
Thank you so much.
Does that answer?
Yes, certainly. Thank you. As you said,
Thank you.
it's your experience, and you gave some good viewpoints and new insights.
Right. Any other questions? Kindly unmute yourself and ask your question.
I think something is there in chat.
I have a question, Sajani.
Go ahead, Ramesh.
Hi, Kishor.
Yeah, hi. Good to see you.
After a long time.
Yeah.
I must say, to the Satsang family that Kishor has been a friend for a very long time, and I've seen him grow right from the beginning when he's finishing his education. And I did not know actually, Kishor, where you've gotten. It's really amazing. It's inspired me. In fact, after this, we must have a call. I have so much to catch up on also, as far as you're concerned. But I was really touched by what you shared, about your about sharing. Actually, I think you also done the landmark forum like me long back, right?
Yes.
Station told you.
I did it in 1997.
Yeah. So do I. So did I. So when you spoke about sharing, it really hit me that yes, during those days I used to share a lot about my transformation, and that sharing kept the transformation alive. It really gave me a very big what should I call it? A big boost, because I realized I stopped sharing. I stopped really sharing about this transformation, and that has kind of reined it back in. But many of your realizations have really opened a lot of doors and windows in my being, I can say. I really must thank you for that.
Thank you.
And now, what you're saying about the ground reality of what is happening worldwide, where startups are moving from a what might seem like a more hedonistic and superficial approach, where people suddenly change their lifestyles, to a more reality-based approach, where people are really looking at making a difference to the communities. I find that extremely appealing. Now, what are the indications? Because the predictions have also shown that India is in a position where the world will now look at India for ideological and spiritual based growth, where there are heart-based businesses coming up. So even in business schools, this is a growing trend. So and that really augurs very well for the spiritual consciousness of humanity at large. So where do you see India standing vis-a-vis in this regard of heart-based businesses, and can we really be the world leaders in this area?
So for bringing out this wonderful question, and in fact, Ma Manezi's many of the sayings and many of the things that she was telling actually makes a big impact here, and whatever you are saying is directly in alignment with that thought process. See, as a community and civilization, we had evolved to a very great extent, far beyond of what today we are looking at in terms of modern context and what we say modernization and modern way. Whether it is about way of living, it is not about lifestyle management, it is about quality of living. So I may possess nothing, but can I lead a quality of thought and quality of living, right? So the civilization by itself had gone to so many churning, and over the years we had retained that and we had built that as an ecosystem. Now, until it was about 200 years ago or 250 years ago, when the entire shift happened, where factory mentality and more of capitalistic thought process started creeping in and started disrupting this entire thing. But I feel eternal wisdom is something which is eternal. It will anyway sprout again, and it will be anyway flowing eternally somewhere or the. It is on the ability of the beholder to see whether it is visible or not, because only to the one who is able to see within is able to see it from the outside also. So therefore, the way the Indian society was structured in business community and way of living was more on distributive economy. That means Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. I have everyone with me, I carry everyone with me, and then in that process, I bring the power of diversity. Everyone is different, so everyone is able to contribute in their own way, and then everyone makes a living together in collectiveness. So this is more about community-based living. So there was a what you call Ganika, Ganika, and then that person used to bring transfer the learning to the apprentice, and the apprentice would then be available whenever, like it is like, let's say Durga Puja, the Vijay Dashmi festival. So Dasera, so a lot of orders have come. So I cannot handle it alone. So I will share it with my apprentice, and I will ensure that they all also make money. And through my goodwill, because I am the senior most in the market, so I will get all that. Then I distribute it with my people, right? And otherwise they are making their own thing and living their own existence through their own skill. But I have imparted that skill wholeheartedly. I don't hold anything. I don't feel that holding that power makes me more powerful, but I believe in the spirit of giving and seeing that collectively we work. So this is what it was about, the way we were in a distributed economy, where there was a lot of democratization of resources. Everybody can get access to resources, right? But today what you see is the capitalistic thing is saying, I, me, myself. So I have to grow more and more. I have to make more and more money. I make a lot of bungalows, this, and my billion assets. I be one of the topmost, Forbes guy and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, where is it leading to? Ultimately, you need to come to that point where there has to be some place where you say enough is enough, right? So you see that people who followed the capitalist and amassed wealth, today most of them are coming back with the saying that I need to give it back to the society. So they're just saying, I'm writing off my wealth, and I'm saying, let people get the best of it. Let it be spread across for the sake of doing good, right? So there is a lot of distribution happening. Same time, at the grassroots level also, people have now started seeing the realization, just like being in a joint family, whenever there was a crisis or there was a akal or there's a famine or a drought, the joint family made sure that they stick together as a family, as a community, right? And then ensure the survivability takes place on that collectively, right? So there is collective wisdom in it, right? But in today's context, you see, from the joint family we broke to single family, from single family we broke down to single parent, and single parent to stuff. So therefore, in this process, what you're seeing, when calamity strikes, we are not able to deal with it. We are not able to handle even the simplest understanding of it, that it's okay, this is a very normal thing in such a situation. That kind of thing is not there. Any peer discussion is not there. So obviously the survivability and the mental ability to deal with this is lower than what it can happen in community. So by default, though we have forgotten, we have not deleted it. It is there in our DNA. So therefore, because of this COVID and all the impact, people are now coming together. They're becoming bigger and bigger. Initiatives are happening in community spirit, and you see the entire shift happening all around, where people are now talking about doing something collectively for the village, for the well-being of the local thing, rather than producing things which is somewhere for Canada or for US, where you don't even know who the buyer is. At the end of the day, all the best things that you produce is going there. But can you distribute that now to your own people and create a better value? So this is where I think the big shift is. So as a community now, with this strength, what happens? The collectiveness brings collective wisdom, and in that collective wisdom, the eternal wisdom emerges, and that's exactly what will now translate to the rest of the world.
Wonderful. So do you see India as a leader in this area? Are you seeing signs of that happening in business here?
Yes. See, doing business is not a joke, my dear friend. Doing business is a big spiritual journey. It virtually takes the best and the best out of you and pulls everything out of you. It asks a lot. So if India is able to take, it's not just about leapfrogging, it's about, can we leapfrog backwards? What we were doing 20, 30, 40 years ago were much more matured than what we are practicing today. For example, there's this movie which came and talked about Padman and all that stuff, which talked about low-cost sanitary napkin, right? But at the end of the day, what happened? There was a lot of awareness and people everywhere started following it as a model. But then there is also another side of the story that one sanitary napkin, whether low cost or high cost, it takes 90 years to decompose. So that much of damage we are doing to the ecosystem. So I have seen a lot of people now coming with the menstruation cups and cloth, packs and all that stuff. So it's like going backwards. So that means you're adapting those best practices of the past generation and repackaging it to be relevant today and realigning ourselves. So same way, a lot of innovations and a lot of things that's already been discovered, very, very matured, simplified innovations, which are there in our way of life and practice, is now going to be what we will impart to the whole world. Then the concept of that Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu will spread, not just by the spiritual evolutionary leap that we are taking right now in these actions, but also by the impact that it will bring towards being more responsible. See, in our culture, we give so much importance to the forest and natural resources and everything. Everything is now becoming an aspect. So I see Denmark is an example of Sanatana Dharma. Denmark is an example of what we are truly as an Indian culture. So I'll stop my case here.
Thank you so much, Kishore. It really
Thank you
empowered
so
me
much.
tremendously. Yeah.
Now, anyone else? Any other questions? Okay, so we don't have any questions. I request
would like to
Ramesh.
give some time for people to think, at least 30 seconds, 1 minute.
They've been thinking
I
ever
would
since
like
he
to
stopped,
ask-
Mr. Janaki Ram. From the time Kishore stopped, people have been thinking.
No, that's okay. It takes some time for people to think and frame the question. And we are all experienced enough by doing sessions. So, sir, what would you like to share with us about your experience with executive coaching, and particularly India and outside, and what are some similarities and differences?
Yeah, it's a very good question that we have spent a lot of time, very sadly that in the last 25, 30 years, too much emphasis has been given towards explicit knowledge, that is codified knowledge and teaching process and transferring all these certification programs and all that stuff and trying to ape those things. Many of the case studies you'll see, Mary did this and Joseph said this, and all belonging to a business environment which takes situations out of what is actually in different cultures. But Indian culture is completely different, and the way we respond to things are very complex, and it's much deeper. So we have moved on from being that parental mode and that teaching mode has now completely been completely deleted from the system, because you'll see that what a teacher can give in terms of information through the textbooks are freely available and much more in detail at the click of a button at any point of time. So a teacher also cannot claim that I know it all, but it's about building a contextual meaning of that. What is missing out here is about contextual meaning, how to bring out contextual learning out of that, how to bring wisdom out of that, right? So it is not about chasing information in the name of knowledge, because every information has an expiry date. Knowledge is eternal. But unfortunately, that entire cycle is getting has been smudged. So today, executive coaching has taken a very key position, because facilitating has become more important. That I don't go into being judgmental. I don't go into saying who is good and who is bad, but I just make all the people come together, and in the process, I facilitate what can be channelized into constructive things and how I can enable a person to unlock themselves. The more I'm intellectual, the more I'll get stuck, because of the earlier pointer that I gave, analysis leads to paralysis. So the more I'm intellectual, the more I'm aware of things, the more I will be cautious, and the more I become cautious, I will do less. So therefore, my ability to discharge my fullest life becomes blocked because of this, and for that facilitation is required, and probing is required, because for a person who is coming from that space will be highly resistant to anything on the teaching line. If I say something, you see the kids today, they're exposed to so many things that if you say that don't do this, this is bad, then they will resist you totally. They will boycott you. You are seeing all this happening everywhere. So what is it that is now demanding? The universe is saying what we need is more of facilitation approach, whether you're in the teacher's role, you're in the parent role, or you are in the business role. You need to facilitate your people to unlock themselves, to bring the best in themselves. So executive coaching is a very powerful way where a gardener who knows nothing about anything about MBA or anything, but with the skill of coaching can unlock a CEO who is sitting in that decision-making process by just going through the process of facilitation and asking the right questions. Now, this is also there in Buddhism, this is there in Jainism, this is also there in Hinduism, in multiple ways. When you talk about the debates between Shankaracharya and all that, it's all about not for two people fighting saying I am right and wrong. It's all about the art of facilitation and executive coaching only, what was happening in that. It's through the commentaries, right? So I see that has come back again as a cycle, and the next 20-30 years, executive coaching and coaching itself will become a part of the way of life, even in the schools, in the colleges, and in the corporate business environment. And you already see that in Karnataka. If you go to any government schools and you check out Nali Kali program, you will see that coaching from my colleagues and coaching from my seniors, and then the teacher all comes in a package. That's the design that they have created for the learning format, and it's been in vogue and very effective. They are more capable with life skills and survival skills than anyone coming out of the convent educated background. So I hope that answers your question.
Oh, yes. Thank you, sir. Very nice.
Anyone else? I'm giving you enough time to think, to word it properly. Okay. Well, there's no response. So I think we've come to the end of our session. Thank you so much, Kishor. And now I request Ramesh to kindly propose a formal vote of thanks, followed by the Loka Samasta.
Thank you, Sajani. Kishor, what can I say? I mean, I've said thanks already because of the impact that you've made right now through this satsang. We've had many wonderful speakers over these past few months and years, I should say. But whatever you've shared brings across another breath of fresh air, another perspective to our family here, because you've kind of connected in a very practical, in a very current manner. You have connected this, what we speak about, the spiritual ideology, to day-to-day life when it comes to things like, something as things like entrepreneurship and business, which kind of indicates what's happening around the world right now from an Indian perspective too, from a dharmic perspective. And it really warms my heart to know that this is happening as per spiritual predictions, that India would come to the forefront. This philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is now being practically practiced. If you look at startups, if you look at the new ideology that is coming in, the breath of fresh air. The salient points of what you said that stood out for me and for all of us perhaps is, one was honest sharing. We started making that inner transformation happen. And it is quite remarkable. We all experience little bits and bobs of, little like packets of transformation through these wonderful talks. But many of us don't really share this with our own families, with our own friends and our communities. And quite often this spark of transformation then slowly dies away into a seed. which can again be relit once again if we care to transform, or if we really care to come together and personally open up our own transformations. That was really a very powerful point for me, Kishore. Thank you really for that. Another thing is, we all speak about forgiveness. We all know its merits, but when we forgive, perhaps sometimes we need to forgive at such a deep level that forgiveness is really whole and complete. So that thing stood out for me as well, that sometimes revisiting that situation can bring about a remnant of that emotion that needs to be forgiven. And of course, I mean, too much of analysis leads to paralysis. We all know that. Nice to actually hear you say it. We should just be in the moment and go with the flow, be in the space rather. And of course, what transforms one individual may not impact another individual. It's more important that we are in that space of inquiry. So that is a very key learning again. And of course, we all know the power of determination. Your gardener incident was very interesting, because someone as seemingly insignificant as a gardener, if he asks the CEO the right questions, can really transform an entire business and a community through a series of simple questions. So that indicates how important each and every one of us are really in this community of humanity, that we all really make a difference, we matter. So many of these things and more things came up, Kishore, and I think the reason this happened, of course, I know you personally, and I'm really uplifted by hearing the kind of transformation that you've gone through, because I did not know of late for the past 5-6 years or more what you really have been going through. The opening up of the flower, the blossoming of the inner flower of the soul. So that process that you've shared in a heartfelt manner, I'm sure has planted seeds in each and every one of us. And really, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for that, from all our behalves. Thank you, Kishore.
Thank you, Ramesh. And now we will have the Loka Samasta.
Yes. So on that note, let us all sit straight with our back, neck, and head aligned. Take a deep breath. And let go. Observe the quietude and the silence within, which is the language of the soul. The one soul that we all are little parts of. Let us pray. Let us do the Loka Samasta with the intention that all our loved ones, our friends, our community members, our nation and the world at large will be touched with the power of healing that this brings about, and the collective upliftment. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu.
Thank you, Ramesh. And I'd like to tell everyone that every Thursday we have a satsang. The satsang begins at 6:30, goes on up to 8. And we've been having different speakers every time. Next Thursday at 6:30, we have Ravi Prakash, who will be talking on Towards a Meaningful Life. So we would like all of you to join, and also to tell your friends. If any of you are not on our WhatsApp group, kindly put your name in the chat box, and we will ensure that it is added on to our WhatsApp group. I'd also like to tell you that we have weekend, once a month, we have weekend seminars. And this month also, we have something on the law of karma. Okay. Mr. Ishwaran is really extremely good. And these are highly subsidized. For board lodge from Saturday right up to Sunday, we charge only 1,400. That is the course board lodge. It's a beautiful place. So I would like all of you to take down these numbers, contact so that you can also come for this. Just being in that space at the School of Ancient Wisdom is wonderful. So thank you, everyone. Thank you once again, Kishore. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Goodbye.
Thank
All
you.
the best.